Google is forcing every dynamic search ad into AI Max. There are two separate deadlines, and the first one isn't February 2027. It's September 2026. Here's your preparation checklist before the transition hits your account automatically. On April 15, 2026, Google officially announced that dynamic search ads are being retired and AI Max for search is moving out of beta. The original deadline for automatic migration was September 2026. After significant advertiser pushback, Google extended the DSA-specific deadline to February 2027, confirmed by Ginny Marvin, Google's ads liaison, on June 11th. But here's what most coverage missed. Only the DSA deadline moved. Automatically created assets and campaign-level broad match settings still auto-migrate to AI Max in September 2026 on the original timeline. Two paths, two deadlines. Depending on what your account is running, one of them is happening in weeks. The preparation window is open right now. DSA campaign creation was restored on June 15th, giving you the ability to run side-by-side experiments before being forced off the format. January 2027 is when new DSA creation ends permanently. February 2027 is when remaining DSA campaigns migrate automatically. There is no opt-out from either deadline. The only question is whether you migrate on your terms or Google's. Let's be precise about what actually changes when your dynamic search ads become AI Max, because the difference is more significant than most Google announcements suggest. Dynamic search ads worked like this. Google crawled your website, matched your landing page content to relevant search queries, and auto-generated headlines from that same page content. You maintained control through negative keywords and URL rules. The AI was doing targeting and headline generation. Everything else, bidding strategy within limits, ad copy structure, which pages to promote, had meaningful advertiser input. AI Max works differently across three dimensions simultaneously. Search term matching. Instead of matching only to your website content, AI Max adds broader user intent signals from across Google's ecosystem, expanding targeting beyond your explicit keyword list and your site's content alone. Text customization. Google's Gemini model now writes both headlines and descriptions, not just headlines derived from page content, but entirely AI-generated copy based on its assessment of what will perform. Final URL expansion. AI Max selects which landing page to send traffic to based on its prediction of which page will convert best, regardless of which URL you would have chosen. When Google auto-migrates your DSA campaign in February 2027, all three features are enabled by default, with your existing URL controls preserved from the legacy setup. But there are no custom guardrails unless you built them yourself before migration. AI Max is not a separate campaign type. It's a feature suite that runs inside standard search campaigns, and it's now the default when anyone creates a new search campaign in Google Ads. The most important thing to understand about this migration is that it's actually two separate migrations on two separate timelines, and if your account is on both paths, you need two separate preparation plans. Migration Path 1, September 2026. This affects accounts using automatically created assets, where Google generates ad assets like headlines, descriptions, and images automatically from your website, and accounts using the campaign-level broad match setting. If you have either of these features enabled in any search campaign, those campaigns auto-migrate to AI Max in September 2026. That deadline was not extended. It was not moved. It is happening on schedule this month. Migration Path 2, February 2027. This is the DSA-specific deadline. If your account runs dynamic search ad campaigns, campaigns with dynamic ad groups targeting your website content, those campaigns will be automatically upgraded to AI Max for search beginning in February 2027. January 2027 is when you can no longer create new DSA campaigns. The one-month gap between January and February is your final voluntary migration window before the automatic transition begins. Check your account today. Open Google Ads. Look for campaigns with dynamic ad groups or the label Dynamic in the campaign type. Look for campaigns with automatically created assets enabled or the campaign level broad match toggle on. The path your account is on determines which deadline you're working against. The voluntary migration advantage applies to both paths. When you migrate on your own schedule using Google's one-click upgrade tools, historical data is preserved in the same ad groups, settings transfer with your oversight, and you can configure guardrails before the AI starts spending budget. Automatic migration applies default settings. No custom guardrails unless you built them first. AI Max with proper guardrails can genuinely improve performance. Google's own data shows an average of 7% more conversions at similar CPA or ROAS using the full feature suite. AI Max without guardrails is a different situation. Here are the 3 specific ways it wastes budget and how to block each one. Risk 1. Final URL expansion, sending traffic to the wrong pages. AI Max selects the landing page it predicts will convert best based on its model of what converts, which may not match the actual conversion behavior in your specific business. If your website has thin content pages, outdated product pages, or pages you don't want to appear in paid search, AI Max will include them in its selection pool. The phrase that consistently appears in migration guidance is garbage in, garbage out. The content AI crawls from your website is the input it uses for both targeting and landing page selection. Poor site structure creates poor AI decisions. The guardrail. Page-level URL exclusions for pages you don't want AI Max to serve, and a landing page cleanup before migration begins. Risk 2. Expanded query matching consuming budget on irrelevant searches. AI Max extends targeting beyond your keyword list using intent signals from across Google's ecosystem. Without a robust negative keyword list, it will find queries to spend on, informational queries, competitor-branded terms, wrong geography searches, and category-adjacent terms that don't convert in your business. Negative keywords still apply under AI Max and remain your primary control lever for query management. Build your comprehensive negative keyword list before migration, not after. Risk 3. AI-generated copy conflicting with brand guidelines. Gemini writes your headlines and descriptions under text customization. Without text guidelines, it generates copy based on what it predicts will perform, which may include claims you haven't approved, tones that don't match your brand, or language restricted in your industry. Text guidelines, universally available since April 2026, allow you to specify what the AI should and shouldn't write. Configure them before the AI starts generating ads. 5 preparation steps. The first 2 are about knowing what you're working with and cleaning the foundation before AI touches it. Step 1. Account audit, 30 minutes. Open Google Ads and identify specifically which campaigns are affected and by which deadline. Look for campaigns labeled as dynamic search ads or containing dynamic ad groups. These are on the February 2027 path. Look for campaigns with automatically created assets enabled or the campaign-level broad match setting. These are on the September 2026 path. For every affected campaign, document your current performance baseline, cost per lead, conversion rate, the top 20 or 30 search terms that have been driving conversions. This baseline is your comparison point after migration. If you don't establish it now, you won't know whether AI Max is performing better or worse than what you had. Step 2. Website and landing page cleanup. This step matters more than most advertisers realize because AI Max crawls your website to build ads and select landing pages. Every thin content page, every outdated product description, every page with missing or misleading information becomes an input for AI Max's decisions. Review your site for pages with thin or outdated content and either update them or exclude them. Ensure your highest converting pages have clear, specific value propositions in the H1 and first paragraph. That's what AI Max reads first. Run SEMrush's Site Audit to identify broken pages, duplicate content, and thin content pages that should be excluded from AI Max's crawl before they become the source of irrelevant ad copy or misrouted traffic. Step 3. Conversion Tracking Verification. AI Max relies entirely on smart bidding, and smart bidding relies entirely on conversion data. The relationship between tracking accuracy and campaign performance under AI Max is more direct and more consequential than it was under DSA. Two specific problems to check for. First, duplicate conversion actions. If the same conversion is being counted by multiple tags, a Google Ads tag and a Google Analytics import counting the same form submission, for example, the algorithm sees inflated conversion counts and optimizes toward volume that doesn't reflect real business outcomes. Pull your conversion actions in Google Ads settings and verify that each real conversion is tracked once and only once. Second, conversion goal alignment. AI Max will optimize toward whatever conversion you tell it to optimize toward. If your primary conversion action is a low-intent signal like a page view or a time-on-site threshold, that's what smart bidding will maximize, not actual business outcomes. Verify that your primary conversion goal reflects a meaningful business action before migration. Step 4. Guardrails set up before you flip the switch. 4 specific guardrails, all configurable before migration. Brand exclusions. Add these first so AI Max doesn't compete against your own branded search terms in a way that inflates costs. Negative keyword list. Build a comprehensive negative keyword governance list covering informational queries, competitor brand terms you don't want to bid on, geographic terms outside your service area, and category-adjacent terms that consistently don't convert. Text guidelines. Set these in Google Ads under your campaign settings. They instruct Gemini on what language and claims to include and exclude. URL exclusions. Add any pages you want removed from final URL expansion consideration, privacy policy, terms of service, login pages, and any thin content pages that survived your site audit. Step 5. Run a side-by-side experiment before the deadline forces the transition. Google provides campaign experiment functionality specifically for this purpose. It lets you test AI Max against your current DSA campaign using a budget split, so you can read real performance output before February 2027 requires the full switch. Use a 70-30 split. 70% of budget stays with your existing DSA campaign as the baseline. 30% goes to a new search campaign with AI Max enabled and your guardrails in place. Run this experiment for a minimum of 4 weeks. AI Max has a learning period. The first 1 to 2 weeks will typically show performance below your DSA baseline as the algorithm calibrates. This is normal. Concern begins at week 3 or 4 if conversion rate remains more than 20% below your baseline after the learning period, or if your search terms report shows significant spend on queries that are clearly irrelevant to your business. Both of those signals mean your guardrails need refinement, not that AI Max itself is the problem. What to compare after 4 weeks? Cost per lead against your documented baseline. Conversion rate. Search term quality from the terms report, and impression share to understand whether AI Max is capturing the same search demand you were reaching with DSA. Google's voluntary one-click upgrade tools are available in the Google Ads UI now. These tools preserve historical reporting data and port your existing settings into the new AI Max structure with minimal learning period disruption, which is the primary advantage of migrating voluntarily versus waiting for the automatic transition. This is the third major forced transition in Google Ads in 2026, and it's worth stepping back to see the pattern. because it tells you what to expect going forward. In 2020, Performance Max absorbed manual campaign functions across display, shopping, and YouTube. In August 2026, local service ads migrated into Performance Max pay-per-lead, which we covered in our last video. Now, dynamic search ads are migrating into AI Max, with automatically created assets and broad match settings going in September. The pattern is consistent. Legacy format receives a transition window. Voluntary migration tools are introduced first. Automatic migration follows on a fixed deadline with no opt-out. Each successive format gives Google's AI more control over targeting, creative, and placement decisions. Two important distinctions between this migration and the LSA migration. Historical data transfers in the DSA to AI Max migration, unlike LSA where dashboard data was permanently lost at migration. And ad placement stays within search, unlike standard Performance Max, which expands across display, YouTube, and Gmail. The control risk here is not network expansion. It's query matching, copy generation, and landing page selection operating at greater AI autonomy than DSA allowed. The infrastructure that protects you through this migration, clean site structure, accurate conversion tracking, negative keyword governance, text guidelines, is the same infrastructure that will protect you through every future Google AI migration. Build it once. It serves you through all of them. 3 things. These determine whether this migration disrupts your lead flow or doesn't. Number 1. There are 2 deadlines, not 1. If your account uses automatically created assets or campaign-level broad match, September 2026 is your deadline, not February. Confirm today which path your account is on. The February 2027 deadline applies specifically to dynamic search ad campaigns. Both have no opt-out. The only choice is when and on whose terms the transition happens. Number 2. Voluntary migration gives you control that automatic migration doesn't. When Google auto-migrates your DSA campaign, it applies default settings with all 3 AI Max features on. When you migrate voluntarily using Google's one-click upgrade tools, you configure text guidelines, negative keyword governance, brand exclusions, and URL exclusions before the AI starts spending your budget. Historical data is preserved in both cases, but guardrails only exist if you build them first. Number 3. Your website and conversion tracking are the foundation AI Max builds on. AI Max crawls your site to generate ads and select landing pages. Smart bidding optimizes against your conversion signals. Thin content, outdated pages, and inaccurate conversion tracking don't just hurt DSA, they actively damage AI Max performance. Clean both before migration, and you've built the infrastructure that protects you through every forced Google transition that follows this one. The deadline is fixed. The preparation window is open. Use it. 2 things to do today before you open Google Ads tomorrow. First, identify which migration path your account is on. Open Google Ads. Look for campaigns using dynamic ad groups, automatically created assets, or the campaign-level broad match setting. That 10-minute check tells you whether you're on the September 2026 path or the February 2027 path, and everything that follows depends on knowing that. Second, download the DSA to AI Max migration checklist from the description. It walks through the account audit step by step, the website cleanup checklist for pages to update and exclude, the conversion tracking verification protocol, the 4 guardrail setup guide covering negative keywords, brand exclusions, text guidelines, and URL exclusions, the campaign experiment template for the 70/30 budget split test, and a post-migration monitoring dashboard for the first 4 weeks after you switch. For the website cleanup piece, identifying thin content, broken pages, and duplicate content before AI Max crawls your site, SEMrush's Site Audit gives you a complete inventory of what the AI will find when it indexes your domain. Fixing those issues before migration means AI Max is building ads from accurate, relevant content rather than whatever happens to be on your site. Link in the description. Google's one-click voluntary upgrade tools are in your Google Ads UI now. Use them before the deadline uses them on you. This video is for educational purposes only. Google Ads product details and migration timelines may change. Always verify against official Google documentation. This is not professional advertising or legal advice. Some links are affiliate links. Migration details sourced from Google's official Ads and Commerce blog announcement, April 15, 2026. Google's extended deadline announcement, June 11, 2026. Confirmed by Ginny Marvin, Google Ads Liaison. Additional context from Search Engine Land, WebFX, Digital Applied, Webtopia, ASA AI, Strike Social, Jumpfly, Marcana Media, and PMG, April through August 2026.